Did you expect this from River State?
I think I did. To be very, very honest, River State has been very volatile, in this election season. And the first law, self-preservation is the first law of nature. So you have to understand this. Where people are apprehensive about their safety, they will not go out to vote. We know for sure that the volatility of the electoral process in River State may have been responsible for keeping people away. And it's not only in River State. In almost all the states, even in Adamawa State in the last gubernatorial election, there were very many places where people, came out to vote, but seeing that the atmosphere was becoming charged, they returned home. Everywhere in the country where there is this fear of eruption of violence, people tend to keep away from the voting centers. I think we need to work very hard on maintaining peace during elections. It's key to ensuring that our people come out to vote, and so I know, and in any case, there are also people who believe that this election is a foregone conclusion. They look at the margins and they look at the available votes and they analyze the voter turnout. In the entire country, in the last two elections, the voter turnout was absolutely dismal. It was between 26 to 35 at the best of points and at the worst of points. So because people already know that the voter turnout, it has been low, and they also know that the margins are such that one needs the entire voting population for him or her to create an upset. And so they believe that may not be possible because the turnout would be low. So they said, look, this thing is a foregone conclusion, that this ritual is just fulfilling righteousness. And so if I know that this ritual is to fulfill righteousness, whether I go there or I don't go, it doesn't matter. So this is the feeling in so many other people, and so they decide to keep away rather than just go and participate in an exercise that, according to their thinking, may not make much difference, and then in the process go there and probably become victims of election violence or something like that. It's better for them to stay at home. We've spoken to one or two persons on this, when we're analyzing the last two presidential elections, the presidential and the gubernatorial election, the last two elections, cycle of elections. When we're analyzing it, we had some contact to validate certain information, and we spoke with one or two other persons across our own state here. And a lot of them were telling us that, look, the next exercise will be basically a validation of what had already taken place, so we may not participate. So it's likely that is the feeling, across board in certain places. So, and in Rivers, like I said, because of the volatility of the location and because of the nature of the people there, a lot of people would have just decided that, look, this issue is already a foregone conclusion, so I don't need to go. But I think we need to work much more harder on voter turnout generally. Voter apathy is an indication of loss of confidence in the electoral process. And if our citizens, our populations are beginning to lose confidence in the electoral process, they will definitely also be losing confidence in the leadership structures that will be empaneled by the electoral process. And if that is done, that is really very dangerous, because it then means that we're losing confidence in the entire democratic experiment, or in the entire democratic governance system. And if we lose interest as citizens in our own democracy, then we are actually by our own self destroying the democracy that we are supposed to benefit immensely from. So this is my really worry about voter apathy, about the attitude of electorates towards our elections, and the attitude of the citizens generally towards both electoral contests and the governance after the electoral contest. Part of the reasons why we even don't have very good governance at the end of the day is that there are a lot of people that interpret democracy to mean just a cycle of elections, just elections. And so what happens after the elections is of no interest. And so leadership of the country that are empaneled consequent upon these elections that people are not interested in may have the legitimacy of the law, but they may not have the confidence of the citizens, and the legitimacy of citizens within a democratic setup is very, very key, is very important. The population, the voters, the constituents are supposed to constitute the reservoir from where the powers of the elected should flow from. And so if there is a disconnect between the two, the governance process suffers. And when this disconnect becomes increasingly wide, at the end of the day, the entire democratic process suffers, and the people begin to lose even the focus. And so the governance template that we will have may not be people-centered and may not be of any value or benefit to the people. And I think we must avoid that as much as possible. So something must be done generally by all of us to make sure that we defeat voter apathy.
Well, thank you very much for your perspective so far. Please hang in there as we will return to you subsequently to get more from you. Right now, we're going to Kano to join Aminu, not Aminu, the late one, this time on Aminu Omar to give us some updates from Kano.
Okay. Okay. Right now we are in Dambata local governments. In Kano there are 44 local governments. I am sure we know. So out of the 44 local governments, the supplementary election is holding in 16 local governments. Yes, and the election affected some members of the National Assembly, that is House of Assembly, and then the State Assembly members. Here right now where I'm standing is Barde 2 polling units. It has about 750 registered voters, and the election was cancelled last time due to some abnormalities that happened in the totality of the registration area. In Dambata alone, there are about 81 polling units that were affected, and their elections were cancelled and slated for today. So right now, the electorates are out. As I understand from some discussions that I had behind before I go on air now, I was made to understand that the turnout, they said, is impressive and is more than the previous election, because that time many people have not turned out, but now they are more determined to ensure that the election is concluded. As regards the issue of security also, as I understand, apart from the security officials that are stationed at the polling unit, there is also some security patrol. The visibility patrol is going on all over the local governments since from the time we left Kano, coming to this local government. We've seen some patrol vehicles on the road and in the Dambata, in the city of Dambata. Yeah.
All right, Aminu Omar from Dambata in Kano State. Thank you very much for the update. We expect more from you subsequently. Please keep us up to date as you move around to observe the situation.
Okay, we will keep you updated as soon as we get to another location.
All right, I mean, there from Dambata in Kano State, Mukhtar Modibo. Hamad Sajo was talking to us from Yola in Adamawa State, and he was trying to make us understand how large that state is, making it difficult for INEC to distribute materials early enough. Should that not have been factored into this preparation ahead of this? Knowing very well, but you have this situation at hand.
You know, Adamawa State have 21 local government, as he rightly said, and that is what Adamawa State has. And then 20 local governments are largely affected, right? So I think we did not decide that election will happen from today. We did not decide it yesterday.
Just yesterday.
You get. So, and usually there is a usual way that INEC has stipulated that these things are going to be done, right? The usual way is each and every zone will have a center where these materials will be kept ahead of the deployment, right? So I think that should have been followed, right? So I'm going back to what he said earlier. Can some people, right, can people be held accountable for what they do, right? There has been issue of late coming on the election day, right? It has been an issue that we've been witnessing for years, right? This is a supplementary election. 21 local government, 69 polling unit across 21 local government. So there can be a local government that is just 2. There can be a local government that is just 3. There can be a local government that is 10, right? So if elections has been holding in that local government that are of thousands polling units, and now you're just dealing with 5 or 6 or 10, right? Then they should, that needs of, you know, urgency, sense of urgency should be shown, right? Aside that, I think he said war rejebe, right? War rejebe is a word that is almost close to the INEC office, of which I know, INEC headquarters that is used for ASREC, and they still have not seen the materials and then the officials on time, right? So that means there is a fundamental problem. We cannot be doing something the same way and expect a different result. So I think we seriously need to hold some people accountable. Some people need to be penalized, because I mean, someone that started queuing at as far back as 5 or 4, right? And then by 8 or 8:30 that he or she was told that election will open, and election did not open by then, what do you expect? If you decide to just turn and say, oh, let me go and do something better. Let me go and get, and never returns, right? So sometimes we just need to just look inward and see the issue of accountability. And just so I tell you, the 21 local government of Adamawa State, I don't think there is any other local government that you travel from the state capital to that particular local government that is up to like a 5 to 6 hours journey, right? All of them are within 4-3, right? So why didn't we do that deployment ahead of time? Managing few sensitive materials.
And why is it not decentralized? But we have a senatorial district level.
Thank you.
So why are you not?
Thank you. So I think that's another thing we need to also consider, and that is what gives people hope, because that time that the INEC officials and the officials are not there by that particular time, automatically the people that are there, fake news and then misinformation start rolling out. Oh, okay, they're trying to do this, they're trying to do that, they're trying to do this. And just so you know, one of the controversies that we've had in Adamawa State was issues of parallel tabulating, right? And then a lot of people were congratulating. A lot of people fall for fake news. People were congratulating one political party. The other set was congratulating themselves. Everybody was putting out, and then the information is not out there yet. Now, few people keep saying, oh, okay, the election has not been declared. And when the election is being declared inconclusive, a lot of people now fall back to, oh, the one particular party is being cheated, the other one is being cheated, and now the story is out, right? Information needs to be out there for people on time, because if people are not there, vote did not open at exactly time that was stipulated for it to happen, someone should be held accountable, and then someone should speak and say, okay, this is what happened. All right, from Yola South, that Mariam, or what's her name, reporting to the INEC headquarters, right? It's barely 20-30 minute movement.
All right, Mukhtar. A reporter gave us an information earlier that we're still feasting on from Port Harcourt, Rivers State, and I believe Kingsley Amajiri is not a reporter of doom. A reporter, Kingsley, you've got some information for us. I hope it's more encouraging this time.
Musbau, we have left Ward 5. You know, this election is holding in 10 wards in Port Harcourt local government area. Earlier on, we were in Ward 5, where we saw the various polling units. Right away, we are here in Ward 11. And this is the popular Ikwere Road. It's situated along this popular Ikwere Road. The situation is almost similar to what we had earlier on at Ward 5. Behind me, you see the electoral officials. There are two polling units here, polling unit 37 and 38. And from what I've gathered from the electoral officer here, there are this polling unit is supposed to have about 377 registered voters. But I would like to also talk to the electoral official here what the experience has been so far since the elections opened around 8:30 a.m. this morning. Sir, could you just tell us your name and tell us your experience so far?
Okay, my name is Emmanuel Ame. This is Ward 11, Unit 13. The place is very peaceful, so far so good. But the voters turnout is not so encouraging. So, but we are peaceful. Yeah.
Tell us the outlook in terms of the response of the beavers and how long it takes the people that you have so far accredited and those that have voted. Tell us the process. What has it been like?
Okay, the beavers is actually very on point. For about 3 persons who have accredited, it took us a minimum of about, let's say, 50 seconds for it to go through, for each person.
All right, I also like you to understand that the city of Port Harcourt is calm. We have the security men who have been driving across Port Harcourt metropolis to ensure security of lives and property, and of course those who have also come out to cast their ballot. I have here with me also one of those who had earlier on cast his ballot at this very polling unit. Mr. Wuju, could you just tell us how was the process?
Well, the process was good. The beaver machine responded, and I was accredited, and they also casted my vote. As you can see, I voted.
How would you rate the turnout of this election? From your own perspective as voters, the attitude of the electorate this time around with respect to this election?
Well, the turnout is not too good based on is a rerun. Most of the voters, we are unable to come out. Most of them, we are engaged in one thing or the other, but so far so good. We have recorded a good number of voting process here.
One thing I've also observed, Musbau, from the places I've covered, across the polling units, there are almost the absence of this party agent, but for one political party across the many locations we have visited for this election. That has been the situation here in Port Harcourt. Why this election? We will hopefully expect that maybe as the time progresses, more people may take advantage of the opportunity to come and participate in the process.
All right, Kingsley, thank you very much. Unfortunately, I was expecting a more encouraging report from you, but this time it seems it's even worse than what we had earlier. But please continue to observe the situation and let us know as the events unfold in that place.
Thank you very much, Musbau. I will. We'll get to other locations.
All right, thank you. Now, Mr. James Ugochukwu, we just saw one of the voters, one of the 3 accredited voters in that particular polling unit so far. This seems like a very worse situation than what we had earlier.
3.
We are looking at 3 voters out of 300 and something registered voters. I don't even know the percentage of that. That is abysmally low. And if we look at the whole election, you know, from all the correspondence we'll be having, I think it's a case of maybe interest, if we may say. We look at that of Kano, for instance, now the turnout is a bit high. That of Adamawa as well. Then the challenge those ones are facing now is arrival of materials. Then the other people now, materials have arrived on time, but people are no longer there. And this is why you see we keep on hammering on carrying out audits after every election. It's very important for all the stakeholders to make sure that they carry proper audits about what transpired in past elections. For instance, I could remember in the presidential election, materials from INEC office in Garki here has not gotten to some polling units in Garki. In a day that every place is on lockdown and there's no vehicular movement and there's no traffic, you can say this is what is holding me from getting to the polling unit. So what kind of audits is INEC carrying after the election to ascertain the reason behind all those lag?
Have they even carried out any at all? That should be the question. But please, Mr. James, let me put you on hold for a moment. Kebbi State is one of the states of having trying to elect a new governor for the state. We have 2 of them actually. Now, Iyabode Olorunsola is in Kebbi State to give us some updates from that state capital.
Thank you very much, Musbau. Thank you for joining us in Kebbi State. Elections was declared inconclusive in Kebbi State because there was pockets of violence here and there over voting, and we have elections to be conducted in governorship, 1 Senate, 2 House of Representatives, and 8 House of Assembly seats. This is one of the largest local governments where elections were cancelled. And I have with me the Commissioner, Voter Education, Barrister Festus Okoye, who has been monitoring the exercise here. The security apparatus on ground, as you can see, is top-notch. And everyone is not tired of coming out to take their franchise. You can see the large crowd, you know. And right now, I want to bring on to the set the Commissioner, Barrister Festus Okoye. You are on live, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, yes.
So how was the exercise?
But it's been going on well. You can see that we have a large turnout of registered voters, especially women. You can see that the electoral process is now being determined by women. You can see their enthusiasm, you can see their determination and their perseverance. So the process is going on well. The BVAS is performing optimally, and the voters are also cooperating with us to make sure that this exercise comes to a conclusive end.
Thank you very much. I learned that there was a pocket of crisis here at the beginning. How was it resolved?
No, it was just, you know, it's all about leadership, and it's all about assuring people that a level playing ground has been provided for all the registered voters and all the political parties. What we have done is to assure them that all those who have turned up to vote are going to go vote. And you know, this is a fasting period. People want to get done with this thing and go home as quickly as possible. So we are trying to speed up the process to make sure that they can go home on time. I want to assure you that by 2:30, all those who turn up to vote will have voted, and there won't be any challenges.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Musbau, I want to come back to you in the studio, and I want to assure you that the old people here are being taken care of. They have been given seats to sit down comfortably.
Just hold your thoughts a moment.
their vote at a time.
Can we talk
Thank
to you?
Back to you, Musbau.
Can you hear me? Before you go, Iyabode Olorunshola, can we still have some moment with the Commissioner for Information of INEC? Can you possibly pass your earpiece to him to talk to us on a situation?
Okay, Commissioner, sir.
They want to ask me questions.
Yes.
So I should face the voters.
Yes.
All right,
I'm here.
We're trying to get the Commissioner, INEC Commissioner for Information, Barrister Festus Okoye. Thank you so much for talking to us. We appreciate your time. It looks like you've been doing a very good job in Kebbi State there, but we'd like to report a situation to you from Rivers State, Port Harcourt particularly, where we're having a situation of high level of voter apathy. What do you think is responsible for this? What was the level of publicity you embarked upon before this D-Day in Rivers State?
Well, what we have tried to do and what we will continue to do is to make available to Nigerians information relating to the electoral process and also information relating to the voting process. We also made sure that the places where supplementary elections will take place was properly and adequately publicized. And you can see in a place like Kebbi, you can see the large voter turnout in some of the polling units here. So the political parties also have a responsibility to get out the votes and also assure their people that all will be well. So I think that the situation in Rivers may just be a one-off situation. But in other states where we have a supplementary election, the turnout has been quite impressive. In Kebbi, the turnout has been quite impressive.
All right, Barrister Okoye, thank you very much. But some of those who spoke to our correspondents in Port Harcourt were even asking questions regarding to what is happening today. They are not aware of the election, the event of today. How can you reconcile this with the publicity you did or the work you did before today?
You know, this election is not taking place in every polling unit in the various states of the Federation, sure. In the various local governments and registration areas. It is taking place in very few polling units in some of the places where we either recorded overvoting or where there was disruption of the process or where the commission could not deploy. For instance, in Calgo local government, the election is taking place in just 4 polling units, and the voters, where some of these issues and challenges arose, already know that there is election in their polling units. So it's not taking place in every polling unit. So our publicity was targeted at the places where elections will take place today.
Okay, what happens in the event of a very low turnout out of the people who are expected to participate in the election of today? Let's take, for example, if you have just 5% of people who are registered in a particular unit participating, what happens?
Well, you know, this is a supplementary election.
Right.
The main election has already taken place. So whatever the situation is, whatever the level of voter turnout is, there must be a conclusion to the process today. We cannot have a supplementary after a supplementary. So the process must come to a conclusion today.
All right, Barrister Festus Okoye, INEC Commissioner for Information. We really, really appreciate your time. Continue with your job, and we hope you reconnect with us subsequently.
Thank you so much.
All right, that's the Commissioner of INEC in charge of communication. Mr. James Ugochukwu, I was with you earlier. Now, part of what Ahmed Sajo talked about earlier is about the fears of insecurity in Rivers State. People might be nursing the fear that, oh, how secure are we? Can we really go out safe and participate in this process? What do you assess of the participation of the security agencies, particularly the Nigeria Police Force, in ensuring that they instill this confidence in the people to participate in the process?
Well, just like is it Mukhtar or Armstrong that said earlier, the precursor to the election, as these clashes between the two major political parties, and nobody wants to die because somebody wants to get to power. So people need to preserve themselves first. So whether the police are there or not, people don't think or tends to, put all their full confidence that they can be protected. We saw what transpired in the general election. There are some places where police or the security were alleged to watch, violence taking place without them, intervening and all that. So people in this kind of polling unit will be, okay, let me preserve my life first. Whatever will happen, they will still announce the result. Just like the commissioner have said already, whatever happened today, there's not going to be another supplementary election after today. So whatever it is, let it be. So this is where we really need to go back to what I was saying before. Comprehensive audit by every stakeholder. The Inspector General of Police, for instance, should be able to ask, why was it that when reports of violence were given to police or they saw violence taking place, they were not taking any action? Because I'm very, very sure that was not the action brief that was given to the policemen. The brief that they are giving is go to that place and secure the polling process. So when people were fighting, why didn't you take action? Yes, granted that police or security should not get to the polling unit or within 300 meters of the polling unit with arms. You have other security agencies on standby within those vicinity. Did they call for backup or for support and all that? And talking about those within the vicinity, we are manning the entry point to various polling units. How did these people that causes all this carnage penetrate through your barrier to the polling unit, cause their carnage, and get away? Are they ghosts or something? So these are the audits we need to be carrying out so that people will have confidence in coming out to vote and seeing the who wins at the end of the day, not coming out and getting killed.
All right, thank you, James Ogochukwu. Now, let's quickly go to the state of Caliphate, where we have Dalhatu Abdullahi standing by to give us updates from Sokoto.
Hello, yes, this is the seat of the Caliphate. In fact, yes, we are at, you can see the 006 polling unit. Mabera is the Sokoto South local government area. The polling unit has registered voters up to 1,179 eligible voters registered in this polling unit. And election, voting and accreditation are going on simultaneously, peacefully, without any hitch. And largely the reason for declaring National Assembly election inconclusive in Sokoto State held on 25th of March 2023 was due to chaotic situations leading to disruption of election and in fact destroying election materials in many polling units that are undergoing supplementary election today across Sokoto State. And for the senatorship seats, 3 senatorship seats, elections are holding in 522 polling units across the 3 senatorial zones, where elections are either could not hold on the 25th of March 2023 or cancelled due to chaotic situations. And for the National Assembly House of Representatives seats, out of the 11 members of the House of Representatives contestants, only one constituency is being declared by the INEC, and supplementary elections are holding across the 10 federal constituencies in Sokoto State. And the number of polling units where supplementary elections are holding for National Assembly members are 446 polling units across the 10 constituencies. And now that this polling unit, where we are now, election could not hold on the 25th of March for National Assembly because of the chaos which led to the disruption of materials, and election couldn't hold that day. With me is Aliyu Abubakar, who is an eligible voter here, and he is here to cast his vote. Aliyu Abubakar, ya lamarin yake ranar 25 ga wata, me yasa ba a yi zaɓe ba nan? Akwai abin da ya faru ne?
Wallahi rannan ka mun sha da ƙyar wurin ga. Don wallahi kasa a bari ai zaɓe an ka kasa wurin ga. Sai an yi layi a wargaje, sai an yi layi a wargaje. Kai ƙarshen ta dai haka nan dai mun ka wace wurin gaba mu yi zaɓen gaba.
To ya yake yau?
To yau kan dai alhamdulillah abin da sauki. Ba kamaran nan ba. Gaskiya abin da dama yau.
Yes, Aliyu Abubakar was telling me that yes, on the 25th of March this year, election could not hold for National Assembly because of the chaos, which led to the disruption of everything by electorate. They destroyed election materials and led to the cancellation of the, in fact, it couldn't even hold before we talk about cancellation. But today he's saying that, alhamdulillah, everything is peaceful. Voting and accreditation are going on simultaneously without any hitch. And we will go around again to give you update. Back to you, Musbau.
All right, Dalhatu Abdullahi in Sokoto, thank you very much for the situation report. But now we go to one of our Verdict 2023 studios, that's in Sokoto, still where we have our guest, Dr. Ibrahim Muhammad Kangiwa, Public Affairs Analyst, sitting in. Thank you very much, Dr. Kangiwa, for joining us. So what's your observation so far of the process and the seat of Caliphate, where that state is deeply involved in this supplementary election, deciding senatorial winners? We have 2 seats there and, of course, some state constituencies.
Thank you, Mr. Musbau, for that introductory aspect. Of course, today, supplementary elections are taking place in Sokoto, in all the 3 senatorial districts we have in Sokoto, and in 10 federal constituencies, with the exception out of the 11 of Yabo and Shagari, which was lately removed from today's election. We can as well agree to some of the submissions by Dalhatu. In fact, Sokoto from the field, you have seen a very large turnout of voters who have come in good numbers and early enough to cast their vote and to conduct their civic responsibility, and to be able to conclude these very particular supplementary election, or the election in 2023 as it were. From what Dalhatu has said, of course, there are quite a number of places where elections could not hold. Because in Sokoto State, we have areas in the Sokoto East Senatorial District that are ravaged by banditry and related insecurity issues, where INEC could not deploy. But since this election is an off-cycle thing, is a supplementary one, of course, with the robust movements and deployments by the security agencies, we believe today we can conclude and finalize all of these spots where elections were not conducted because of these issues of insecurity. Likewise, in areas where violence marred elections in the last cycle, where we could not conclude today, possibly with the larger of security personnel, possibly this will come to a close. This is what we hope and pray. Of course, you need to know that for our senatorial districts, we could not call these elections finally because the margin of victory in comparison to the outstanding number of collected PVC or eligible voters is significant enough to change the course of victory for the leading candidates. So therefore, this election cannot be called as at then. But for now, going by this scenario, there is likelihood that this election will be called today, and then possibly or in the next day, as the case may be, people would now have a clear margin of victory, a clear leadership who would emerge at the end of the day to serve as senators from the 3 respective senatorial districts we have. For the federal also, the margins also are similar. But of course, there are instances where you have a margin of 2,000 plus. And how can you call that election where you have an excess of over 5,000, 7,000, 8,000? Change the cause of victory for any of these leading candidates. So this exactly is what happened. But alhamdulillah, here in Sokoto, as we have seen in the field, we are very positive that today's supplementary election will be called to an end. We would definitely, by God's will, reach a conclusion. Alhamdulillah, we are very positive. People here have turned out in their numbers. I will tell you, instances like what I have seen in Rivers, where there is a larger both apathy as a result, possibly away from some of the narratives I've had, that people are not coming to the election because most of the times, or possibly, their votes will not count, or because of insecurity, or because of violence, as the case may be. But I tell you one thing that happens in the last election, which has also been happening today. You go to respective registration areas, polling units, and you find elders, people of high standing, religious leaders, traditional leaders, people of moral standing, standing firm, meeting with all the parties, with all the agents, with all electorates within that same vicinity to tell them that we need to call this election to an end. We need to put these things through. We need to tell ourselves that, what do you call it? We need to tell ourselves that we have to finish this to get these people so that they can go back and represent us and the goodies of democracy come to us. But this has been playing out, and alhamdulillah, people are hacking to these calls, and people are really doing the needful, and it is really giving us what we need to see. But I have a very a follow-up to that. Some of these things that we were asking, that Musbau yourself has asked the National Commissioner, Barrister Festus Okoye, whether there are very weak information that have been sent out to some of these localities, let's say in Rivers. That's why possibly people didn't come out. Of course, I think INEC needs to do more in terms of sensitization, getting to the root of it, getting to the nook and cranny to tell people what they need to do. Of course, people in this nook and crannies, people in the civil society organization are doing a lot. So we could continuously help one another to push these narratives so that people would appreciate that if you don't come out to do your civic responsibility, you are only allowing or postponing the disaster, because you are allowing people who may not necessarily, if you have come out, be the ones to win. But you have allowed yourself now to be shot in the foot by allowing them to win by very small margin, which is not a good sign. But of course also, I look at these as a failing of the political parties. Political parties are not specifically just simply for elective positions, but of course they are also sensitization for political education, for leadership training. You need to get out to your people, tell them the need, tell them why they should all come out, because this is the fundamental responsibility that would usher in leaders at all different stages of governance in this country. We cannot have it this way. We cannot continue to move backwards. We should be moving forward. And some of this, as our friend Amaji has said, we need to go back and be doing these audits. In fact, you see instances where people are caught, either in election violence, either in financial or what have you. But what happened? A few days after, you see them roaming the street, which means it pays to do these things. So if you don't take action and hold this so that people could see it as what? As a way to deal with those who are doing all of these things to bring about disrepute to electoral processes, then definitely we have issues. This is what I think. And alhamdulillah, Sokoto is doing well. I hope others will now look towards Sokoto and do equally the same.
All right, good to know that Sokoto is doing well. Right. And of course, we appreciate the positive disposition of the electorate from what we saw from the ambience behind Dalhaj Abdullah earlier. Good turnout of electorate. And you just talked about the situation in Rivers State too. If you want to compare these two situations, what do you think is responsible for the turnout that we are having in Sokoto State? for this process?
Thank you. For Sokoto, I will say people are very keen. People are keen because it is a hotly contested election. It's an election where that of governorship has been called, has been decided, where a sitting government has been dislodged. The election was called for the sitting government in the state. So it tells you that a series of movements in Sokoto. The presidential goes to the PDP, the governorship goes to the APC. So it tells you that people are making their voices heard. Their votes are really counting because this is what it's showing. And you can see the lead that has happened in the presidential and that of the governorship, where you have 40,000 plus excess margin of win, and you have 3,000 plus, there about 2,000, less than 3,000 votes of margin of win for the parties. So it tells you that it's really going through. But I tell you, I can say that INEC in Sokoto has done a lot. The political parties also have pushed these things to their people, and you can see the turnout. They are really doing a yeoman's job in getting their people out to vote. I will tell you, Musbau, in Sokoto, if you should go by 6:30, you will meet our people queuing up in their polling units. What does that supposed to signify? The people are hell-bent on what? Of making sure that this thing is concluded. Even at the last governorship election, people were in their polling units as early as 6, 7. Immediately they finish their Subi prayer, they move out because they want to go there, cast their vote, and get out and wait for the verdict to be read. So for us here, I can tell you that we are politically conscious. We are all out to see that our people get to vote and their votes count. Instances where we have these issues, I told you in some places, they get back, they sit down, they get all stakeholders, they sit down and address these issues. Violence is not the way forward. And that they should accept the outcome. Either you win or you lose, there is also another time. If you have issues with the outcome, there are also legal redresses you can always go through. So it's not a do or die thing. But in places where people are maimed, people are killed, what is the point? Like Brother just said, safety is the first call. Safety first. You cannot be there tomorrow when you are dead. So you can only be there to give your own contributions when you are alive. So people rather in places like Port Harcourt, because of the high level of violence that have always gone into the election cycles, possibly people are apprehensive. People would rather stay behind. But of course, if there are good numbers of security personnel on ground and not boots on the ground at the ballot, at the polling units, people could have a sense of composure to go and do the election. But if people at the same time could see these people and go to election and people follow them and maim them, then why should they go? So now it's a question of, like you said, the audit thing. Go back to this. What exactly transpired? What were the reasons? And in some places where you have late arrival of materials, like Moduba said, what happened to all of the plans prior to today? What were we doing? I can tell you in Sokoto, as early as 6 p.m. yesterday, the arrangement with the transport network and the transport operators that supply the vehicles that will do the transportation of some of this material to their respective local. I can tell you, from Sokoto to Isa and Sabon Birni, you could spend an hour, get into 2 hours to get to that location. If you get to Sabon Birni, to get to the farthest station also, you could spend another 30, 40 minutes. In some instances, you cross over rivers. Very hard terrain. But of course, if you plan ahead, you put these things in perspective, you factor them in, you surely will get your people out there in good time, in good numbers, and to get this election to kickstart as early as possible. People who have failed, who have not been able to do their job, should be called to account. This is our take.
All right, Dr. Kengiwa, thank you very much for your perspective so far. You've raised some very important points that we will still talk about very soon. But now I can see our Kazari in Duse standing by to give us some update from Jigawa State. How good to see you. What is the situation report there? It seems we're having some jubilations already. What's happening?
This is Kwaimawa Primary School polling unit 012 and 025. It's one of the polling units, 7 which were declared inconclusive. Elections materials have arrived in good time, and elections have started as early as 8 in the morning. The turnout is impressive as voters are willing to vote, and security arrangements have also been put in place. You can see the army are here, the police, civil defense, and even vigilante. And elections are conducted peacefully. Voters are queuing so as to cast their votes.
All right, thank you very much, Awa Kazaure from Duse.
See, people have come out, especially women. A lot of women are here and voting is going smoothly without any hitch.
All right, thank you very much, Awa Kazaure. We'll return to you subsequently in the course of this program to get more updates. Coming to you, Ansuri Ajanako. Doctor. Okay, just very quickly.
You remember that in the general election,
right?
The same pattern of what we are seeing here is what played out. Most of the polling activity started earlier in the north, each free. So in fact, that's about 9 a.m. in the morning, about 26% of polling units have been activated in the north, right? Whereas in the south, we have less than 11% of the polling units activated. So going back to that audit we are talking about, what is the challenge? Why is it that some places you have higher turnout and you have low turnout in some places? These are the kind of audit we should be talking about. And talking about even turnout again, we have this misplaced perception that is the duty of INEC to mobilize voters. It's not their duty. Their own is to conduct election for whoever came out. Remember what the commissioner said, even if it's 3 people, we are not going to have another supplementary election. So the question we should be asking is, the political party who are the end beneficiary of this process, how far are they going in terms of voter mobilization? And that is where we come to what Modibo said before. Democracy is about demand and supply. So we tend to have a political class that sees the citizen as a statistics, you know. They don't really take them seriously. Because if you take citizens seriously, the first thing you should do is to step up your campaign in terms of mobilizing them, telling them, luring them to vote for you. Because we are going to be the end beneficiary of all this process. If you mobilize them properly, they'll be able to come out and cast vote for you. But if you just assume that you have another plan B of manipulating results or doing voter suppression and all that, that is where we get this kind of things we are having. For election rigging to take place, it takes voters apathy. For instance, now, the one we are having in Sokoto and Kebbi and all that, to have high voters turnout. So it's very difficult to manipulate such a kind of result. So that is where any right-thinking political party should step up their mobilization campaign. It's not the duty of the INEC to do that for you. Even though they do it, it's just complementary. It's not the duty of the civil society. The civil society is just telling people that, look, this is democratic process, and the only way of recruiting our leadership is through the ballot and not through the bullet. So that's what we do in the civil society. We are not telling you to go and vote for party A or vote for party B. We're only telling you, come out and vote. Choose leader of your choice. There is not the duty of the media, because you guys are business people. So if you pay me, I will help you to announce that an election is going to take place in so and so place. So the number one people that should carry this issue of voter mobilization seriously is the political party, and I don't see them doing that particularly seriously.
All right, trust me, the media also are very big stakeholders, and they are really doing it well as far as this process is concerned. Now, let's quickly go to Ogun State, where we have Lekon Agbode in A4 particularly. Lekon, good to see you. What's the situation report that you have for us?
Thank you, Wahab. We are in polling unit 4, Ward 1 in front of Box 2, constituency 1 in for local government area of Ogun State. As you can see, the picture speaks for itself as the process is costing home, moving to the breast of the finishing tape as stakeholders and INEC are putting finishing touches to ensure that they complete the last number of the 26 member of the House of Assembly in Ogun State. In Ifo here, the current Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Olakunle Oluomo, is contesting with his closest rival from PDP in a neck-to-neck race. And I have the REC, the Resident Electoral Commissioner in Ogun State, Niyi Ijalaye, here, who will speak to us and tell us what the process all about. Sir, we just want you to know what has been the coloration of what is happening here.
Thank you very much. You recall that after we had the elections for the gubernatorial and House of Assembly elections, this polling unit was inconclusive, and that is why we are here today. And as we speak, we've been here since very early in the morning to ensure that this place is set for voting. And voting commenced as expected at 8:30 precisely a.m. this morning, and it is still ongoing. And the turnout has been very, very impressive. Very, very impressive.
If you want to talk about the number of eligible voters that are expected to vote today.
Thank you very much. We have over 1,800 names of registered voters. And for PVC collected, we have over 1,570 over. So we expect that as many people who are here to vote, who are their PVCs, will be allowed to vote today.
Talking about the behavior of eligible voters here, how will you describe the way they behave or the conduct of everybody here?
The conduct has been very impressive. There have been so much cooperation and understanding because they're one people and they're conducting themselves in a very orderly manner. And of course, where the security operatives have to guide them, they are being guided appropriately.
Thank you very much. The voters, they were here on the March 18 for the election, but due to some circumstances, they have to come back again and exercise their voting, their franchise. And let me see if I can. Excuse me, please come. Okay. Is an agent here, but what's your name?
My name is Alhaji Aziz Tijani.
What do you want to say about the process of this election?
Well, the election is still going fine. No problem yet, no violence. And the INEC are still doing their good job. But for now, the process is still going on fine.
So generally, we want to say that the process has been seamless, and everyone that is here conducted his or herself in orderly manner. And we have security agencies and monitoring agencies. I also have hello, sir, what's your name, sir?
My name is Professor Kunle Ajayi.
What is your position?
I'm the National Commissioner in charge of Ogun State. So I'm here to supervise the election going on.
What have you seen so far, your observation?
Well, as we can all see it, everybody is peaceful. The arrangements are well made. Everybody's on the queue, satisfied. The party agents are here. Security agencies are here. Everybody is here, and everything is going on peacefully. Well conducted.
Thank you very much. So these are polling units. This is where the only rerun election is taking place in all of Ogun State. And at the end of the day, the winner will emerge to complete the last 26 member of the House of Assembly that will go into the House to legislate for their people. From Leko Agode, and I still have somebody here, one of the voters. What's your name?
Bayo.
What's your name?
Bayo Lurukolo.
So have you voted?
Yes, sir.
How will you describe the...
I swear, everything is okay now. Everything is okay.
What do you want to say about the conduct of the umpire?
Everything is okay.
It is confirmed that the umpire were not biased as they performed their duty in according to the law. Let me return to Wahab in Abuja. Lekwa Agbode is my name.
All right, Lekon, thank you very much for your observation so far and your contribution. But before I let you go, if you want to compare the turnout of electorates for today's election with what we had on the March 18 for the state election, of course, we're having the only local government supplementary election in that state for state constituency in Ogun State. What is your observation regarding the turnout of people, electorates at that particular unit? All right, it seems Lekon Agbode cannot hear us anymore from E4, the only place, according to him, where we're having a supplementary election for state constituency today in Ogun State. Coming to Answe Ajenaku, we've seen situations across from Yola to Kebbi and, of course, a bit of Ogun State now, and we've seen the turnouts. They are just a clear departure from what we're having in River State, where Kingsley and Marjorie has been reporting from. We're seeing a very high level of voter apathy. Now, is it a situation of casting aspersion on this process, or more of shooting themselves in the foot? So they're supposed to be a key stakeholder deciding those who will lead them at various positions.
Yeah, so talking about casting aspersion, on the process, we need to be able to contextualize.
Yeah.
And even where we have had the discussion around accountability, I think there needs to be also that proper understanding of what is playing out in particular terrains. For example, the situation in Adamawa is quite different from, rivers and like that. So that if you are holding people accountable, then you can also commend the people who have managed the process in their area, very well. We've seen places where, the turnout was on time, everything is orderly, the process is going on smoothly, and there are no challenges. So I think that is important. But I think we have restated it here with respect to Rivers, that the security question remains the critical question there. The question around how safe the voter feels to, go out there. And these issues that led to that sense of apprehension, they are very clear. We saw, all sorts of issues, not just, during the presidential, but also in the post-election period. So, in fact, if we want to look at the way the tension is in Rivers, I think the federal authorities should be stepping in to ensure there's calm there and, not allow the political actors to run riot. And then, because for me, and our colleague, here has even talked about how they had to stop observers from coming. So, is Rivers a peculiar situation? Yes, it is, because it has experienced that challenge all through the electoral cycle itself, and now even in the post-election period. So maybe we should be calling on the political actors there to, number one, tone down the very violent and acerbic rhetoric that we're hearing. Tone down the mocking of, rival party supporters. Tone down on the boastful speeches around, how you have, taken over the state, or how you've won against all the odds and all of that, and focus more on peace building. And these are some of the things that even processes like the peace accords, in situations like this, that the peace accord try to mitigate by telling the political actors that they should focus more on issues, campaign issues that would advance the interest of the electorate in the process, and not, have the situation now that there's a climate of fear. So you cannot take away the fact that, what you have in now is a climate of fear. And like it said, and it has been stated here, self-preservation is the very first consideration, for you to, before you think about any other thing else.
Right, thank you very much, Ansri Ajenaku, for that contribution so far. Now let's get to Kaduna State in Kudan particularly, and I can see Haruna Mohammed standing by. Haruna, good to have you. What's the situation in Kudan?
Good to have you too. This is Poly Unit 003 at Kaurongwali North Ward in Kudan local government area of Kaduna State. Accreditation, as you can see behind me, accreditation and voting is taking place concurrently, and the exercise is taking place without any issue actually here. And with me here is one of the electorate who has just cast his ballot and who wants to tell us about the exercise so far.
Well, sunana Abdulhamid Yusuf Kaurongwali North.
Okay, to me za ka ce mana game da wannan exercise din da ke faruwa a wurin, yadda kuma gashi kai ka riga ka yi zaben ka.
Gaskiya da abu ga wannan din zabe yana tafiya peacefully yanda ya kamata. Na zo tun around 8 na zo, alhamdulillah ban yi ko 1 hour ba, an yi min zabe na within 5 minutes. An yi min na casting board na, yanzu gashi nan zabe yana tafiya peacefully yanda ya kamata insha Allah.
Ko da na'urar da aka amfani maka akwai wani matsalan da ka fuskanta?
Well, no, there's no any problem because Biba's computer yana aiki yanda ya kamata. Ba wani tseko da ka shiga within a minute za a yi maka ka fita wani kuma ya shigo insha Allah rabbi. Komai na tafiya yanda ya kamata. Gaskiya tun daga bot daga mutane nan kowa da bot nasu suna kasa peacefully, ba fada ba wani zage-zage, everything is going peacefully. So we are wishing all the participants going normally. That's good.
What the voter is saying is that the exercise is going on smoothly, and he has actually cast his ballot also, and the machine, which is the beavers, which is used for the accreditation, also had no issues here, and he recommend the exercise so far conducted. And with me again is one of the voter who is actually going to tell me about his own experience during the exercise.
So, alhamdulillah, assalamu alaikum. Ni ne na Alhaji Kabir Isa Kauran Wali unguwan Hamidu kuma mai unguwa.
Gashi ka riga ka yi kada ƙura'anka, me za ka yi cewa mana game da yanayin yanda aka yi?
To, alhamdulillah, ni dai na zo wurin zaɓe, ni ne da phase 1 a cikin saka ƙura'a ɗin nan. Kuma na sa idanu na ga abubuwa ina tafiya alhamdulillahi, ba hargitsi ba wani fada, komai ana tafiyar da zaɓe kiliya. Na'ura ma na ga alhamdulillahi, saboda haka muna fata Allah ya sa a tashi lafiya a yi lafiya, wanda Allah ya ba kujerar nan Allah ya ba shi ikon ya tausaya mana mu talakawa da muke tija a rana. Allah ya ba shi iko ya duba aikace lunguna ya yi mana, roƙon da nake kenan a kai.
Kai magana, the voter has actually just also comment the INEC, which is the lead in the exercise. He also talked about the beavers that is being used, that there's no issues at all to that effect. And such are the comments you get from electorates here. And meanwhile, the exercise is also taking place in 4 other local governments here in Kaduna State, which is Giwa West, Chawai, Kauru, Kudan, and Sanga also. But here in Kaduna North, Kudan, we have 5 polling units where the exercise is taking place, and this polling here 00 is one of the polling units where the exercise is taking place. That's all we have from here.
Haruna Mohammed, thank you very much. But quickly, before you go, can you give us some information, if you have them, any information regarding other parts of the state where the elections are taking place, those are local government areas that you just mentioned.
Yes, from the information I got from my colleagues at the other local governments, the exercise is also taking place without any issue as well. The security operatives are on ground ensuring that the exercise is taking smoothly.
Haruna Muhammad from Kudan local government area of Kaduna State. Thank you so much. We expect you subsequently for more situation reports as the event continues. All right, back to the studio and with Mukhtar Modibo. It's still verdict 2023. By the way, we're looking at supplementary elections regarding states deciding governorship seats. That's Adamawa State and Kebbi State, and we have 5 senatorial seats to be decided, and of course 31 federal constituencies and 59 states constituencies where elections are taking place to complement what we had earlier in February 25 and March 18 where we had federal and state elections. Now, we have talked about various stakeholders who are supposed to be key players in this process, not just INEC or the security agencies, and we've seen the president-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu issued a press statement talking to all of the stakeholders to participate actively in this supplementary election. What do you say of the political parties? Do you think they've done enough in instilling confidence in the people or even calling them out to participate in the process?
To be honest, they've not. So I tell you what, the last time we were here, we discussed about hate speeches and then speeches from the spokespersons, right? And I think what our spokespersons, I did not remove any of them. What our spokespersons succeeded in doing is banters, right? Fight between each other. This one said this one will come in the evening and counter this and say this. This one will say that. This one will counter in the morning the next day and say that. What their primary aim was to, put the messages out there for people to resonate or people to, get into having to understand what the message is all about, comprehend it so that they can go ahead to make use of that messages. But the thing is, what they have been doing is basically, insulting each other, making mockery of each other. Because if you look at when the presidential peace accord was signed, the General Abdul Salam made mention that spokespersons ought to, do what is right, to stop insulting each other, stop, hitting
up the policy.
Yeah, because the reality is that's what creates the context. Imagine 2 adults insulting each other. This one grant a media this thing from the south part of the country. This one is from the north central part of the country, insulting each other. And then that's what keeps trending in the country, right? The best thing that could have trended was, okay, my political party is part of this very election, and the election is on the 15th of April. Go out and cast your vote as someone that believes in our political party and stuff like that. It would have been something better than, insulting each other. Then, for the issue of, yes, the president-elect said, everybody should go and participate. Where is the president-elect? In as much as, yes, the president-elect polling unit is not part of the something, but he ought to have, done something other than just speaking out. And, the other time when we said these people will make us as citizens begin to think that everything is about just them, right? If to say the president-elect is part and parcel of this election, he will be somewhere around, right? But the fact that he is not there, automatically makes him look like, oh, I don't have a problem with that. Right? So that's the question. So the thing is, it's...
Well, the information from his media department is that it's taken the due rest he deserves after the campaign periods and, of course, the election.
Musbau, I cannot say anything other than what I have said. If he deserves rest, I don't think this is the time for rest. This is Nigeria we're talking about. Right. He's taking up a challenge that is so wide. The country is divided. Economically, we are something else, right? If you look at the challenges that is ahead of him.
What other role do you expect the president-elect to play in this?
I mean, what I have expected from these political parties, not just the president-elect, is conversing for people to come out and participate in the supplementary election, because that is what will give people hope. Right? That is what will give people belief and trust for the system ahead. Because for now, we've had a lot of issues of trust. You know, for the first time in history, in our political cycle that I know, we're having a third force. Now, having that third force come with a lot of hope, come with a lot of trust, come with a lot of belief, and then immediately after election, there are a lot of division. Some people are of the view that the real conduct, some of these things were not conducted as the way it was stipulated. We've witnessed pockets of violence. We've witnessed pockets of election malpractice and what have you. Now, it removed a lot of people from the belief, the trust, the hope. Now, moving to supplementary election, that will tell you that there is going to be some other elections. So if people trust the system, we're facing Bayelsa, we're facing Kogi, we're facing Imo, right? If these same people don't trust the system, then who will go out and vote? Then we'll go and spend money. If you look at the amount we spend on election, over $2 million or $2 billion, right, on just election, I think we should just leave it and then be doing something, because how much is a ballot paper being printed? How much is the cost of deployment and all the ad hoc staffs and what have you? And still, we've watched a polling unit of almost 200, and 3 people, as of the time of the report, 3 people are the only people that cast their vote. So tell me, and just so you know, election will be decided whether those people that came out with the 3, if they're the only ones that cast their vote, same result will be patched to the result we have, and then it will be announced. Then where are we going as people? So I think what they could have done is they could have done more in conversing for people to come out and vote. That's one. 2, shying away from the hate speeches, putting out fake news and what have you. There have been a lot of conversation moving around, and they were fake, right? Let's stay away from it, and let's have it from the horse's mouth. The politicians say it the way it is. If you are caught doing so thing, in our situation room, we're recording some issues with a political party from KB State. Some of the political party agents were arrested. I just got the report. Were arrested with voter's card and some document. Now, all those people that were arrested, how many of them were prosecuted from the previous election? We've not seen anybody being prosecuted. We've not seen anybody in court or jailed today. Then tell me what will stop me from doing that particular thing. So I think the best thing we could do is to join hands with everybody to call for people to participate in election, and also inform the people, if you're supporting me and you're caught doing something, you're not representing me, you're representing yourself, just so they know that all the pockets of people that are trying to cause mayhem are doing it for themselves, and then they will be dealt with. I think that's what we need to look into.
Okay, just a moment, Amsri Ajenako. I want to know if we still have a guest in Sokoto studio, Dr. Ibrahim Mohammed Kengiwa, who has been listening in. Can we have him to give some contribution still? All right, Dr. Mohammed, you've been listening to the conversations here so far. What do you have to say about the conduct or efforts of the political parties so far vis-a-vis the negative political advertisement that we've been having from some of the spokespersons of the parties?
Thank you. Actually, I align so much with Modibo's perspective. It is not helpful to anybody if the political parties or the spokesperson who represent these political parties would always voice out negativity into the system, into the political sphere. It doesn't augur well for all of us. But of course, political parties and their spokespersons and the people who are standing in for election should be people of high standing, people of distinguished personalities who have lived a life of a service, so they should be able to transcend beyond these negativities and usher in all the positivities that will come in for this country. Because it is for all of us, it is for the good of all of us. If this country does not stand, or if this country's democracy crumbles, then we are all in it. So we should always be mindful of this fact and shun these hate speeches or name calling, as it were. Of course, the political parties, as I said earlier, and what other colleagues have said, need to do more. Of course, there is this limited understanding or perception from political parties, or people generally, that it's all about election and electoral process. It is not entirely about election alone. It starts with that same sensitization, mobilization, political leadership training, and what have you. Then it gets to the election. What are your selling points? What are the things that you think you want to show to the world as being the best things that can happen to these electorates, so that these will be the reasons why you would go for party A against party B or B? Because these are the things that you would promise, these are the things that you will show. You've been in government for how long? What have you done? Have people felt democracy dividends from your leadership? Have you failed as a leader from a political party? Because these are the building blocks that people will look and say, yeah, it is A that is better than B, because this is the track record. This is what they have done. But of course, when you look at it, virtually all political parties are having one or the other issues surrounding, what do you call it, they are standing, whether they are right or they are wrong. But of course, they need to go back to the basis of what political parties are formed to do in any political process. It is not simply about coming, placing people for election, going the whole hog with the primaries and getting elected. Of course, it has to do with this. If you get elected, you do the needful. And by doing this, you get yourself up in the scheme of things for people to come for you next time you come, next round of elections. And likewise, in governance, election or democracy generally could be seen or be referred to majority rule while minority rights are preserved. Simply because I've lost an election does not mean I should just close shop and go home and sleep. I am supposed to come back and be the bulwark of opposition, showing the weaknesses of the party in government. That way, I would always put the party in government on their toes to do what is right. But when you don't do that as a political party, you're only about the spoils, then we have lost it. Some of the basics of the basis of political processes are lost, or democracy as it were. So we need to go back to tell ourselves as political parties, to tell ourselves as citizens, as stakeholders, that there is a lot to the democratic governance that we want to be deepened in this country. We have a lot to do, like has been said. Both stakeholders, be them civil society, be them electorates, be them the security agencies, be them government agencies, or even international organizations that come to support us. What we want is that the level of credibility should be up, the ante should be upped. We should be able to do things to showcase that Nigeria, the largest democracy in Africa, is what people should look up to, so that tomorrow people will come and learn. Of course, people are coming to learn, but they shouldn't learn from the bad things that happen in this country. They should look at the positive, and the positive should outweigh the negative. So that, of course, as a people, it's always a work in progress. But these years that we've sent from 1999 to date should have shown clear improvement in the way we do things as a people, as political parties, and as stakeholders into the electioneering processes and governance, as it were. Because when people fail in governance, it is a direct effect of who have been pushed into the leadership position or what political party has been moved. Of course, as Modibo has said, there are enormous challenges. But away from that, I want us to appreciate that it is not simply the president-elect, as it were, that has a right or a duty to tell people to come out to this election. All these political party presidential candidates and the leaders in these political parties have a duty to come and tell their people, go all out. It is not yet Uhuru. We still have positions to protect, we still have votes to cast, we still have positions to go for. But the good thing is, what we have in the 2023 election and the incoming government that we'll have is going to be a mixed bag. Nobody will just sit down and say, I have a majority, I'll do as I wish. No, it's going to be a tough call. So people will have to put in their best card, their best foot forward, so that this country can continue to enjoy the dividends of democracy, so that we can get to a position where we say, yes, alhamdulillah, today we can see marked improvement in governance, in political processes, and in the election, as it were. This is what I think.
All right, Dr. Kengiwa, thank you very much. And this is still Verdict 2023, looking at the conduct and process of the supplementary elections going on across the states, yet to complete their process. And we've been giving you a report from those areas, and Trust NTA will continue to get this process in our own right. And let's get to Kebbi State now as we look at the situation report from our correspondent in Kebbi State.
Here at Takalau and Garka Hakimi polling unit here in the Takalau area. The election here commenced on time as the INEC officials and the materials arrive on time. To talk about the voters are overwhelming and are here as early as you can ever think of. With me is Malam Nafi, who is an observer, and he would like to also tell us more about what he observed so far. Malam Nafi.
Yes. Sincerely speaking, my name is Comrade Nafi Umar. I am the coordinator, Global Self-Help Organization. I'm here to observe this election. I came to this Takalau polling unit in order to see what is there and to observe, to confirm how the nature of the election. Is the election conducted free and fair, or there is any irregularities? But when we came here, we see there's many people are so congested. But the election was conducted free and fair due to what is going currently now. But we don't know what's coming, maybe in 1 hour or 2 hours coming time. But sincerely speaking, for now, the election was conducted peacefully. But now we are trying to go deep, to go inside, to make our final observation, to make sure that if there is any irregularities or any problem that we encountered, so that we'll tell the society to know exactly what's happening in Takalau polling unit, where election is carrying on right now.
This is Cargo local government, where we have the largest polling unit, where elections were cancelled because of overvoting. Today, 1,742 voters are expected to vote here, but only 1,610 have collected their cards. Although the exercise started at 8:30, I met an observer who said there was an issue at the beginning. Her name is Teni Tenko.
Yes.
Okay.
CDD, I'm an observer here in Calgo local government. So I arrived here around 7:30. I came here and I met the INEC officials. They were arranging their properties. So later the agents came around. The agents of PDP and APC came around. So there's an issue because they are trying to show them that the number of registered voters is different from the register of people that collected their PVCs. So they had a little problem there, but the problem was solved. And later, before the voting starts, I think when the voting starts, there was also a problem between the electorates. The agents, there are more agents from the APC. They came around, they were trying to show up. After voting, you raise your your voters' this thing. Yes, that they should raise it so that they will see. So there was an issue there, the PDP did not agree. So they had a problem. So, but later the police were able to curtail the problem.
Right now, I'm at Dogondaji village, one of the polling units in Dundee local government area of Kebbi State, where supplementary election of governorship, senate, and reps is taking place. And as you can see behind me, voters are already on queue, waiting to exercise their franchise. And from the look of things, everything is going calmly. With me is one of the eligible voters here. Sir, what is the name?
My name is Abdusalam Jibril.
How do you see the conduct of the exercise so far?
Yeah, so far so good, honestly. As you can see, the turnout is very high. People are eager to come and vote who they want to vote. So the place already has a history of coming out to vote. As you can see, the last federal election, the last state elections that happened before this supplementary election, we recorded about 500 votes here out of 650 votes. So normally they come out and vote, they come out in mass and vote.
Sir, there was a chaos initially on where the cubicle should be placed. Was it resolved?
Yeah, it has been resolved. You know, everybody is eager, you know. So we will make sure that we resolve it amicably so that they will not say this, we are biased. So we resolve the issue now.
We'll continue updating you in our other polling unit in Dundee local government area of Kebbi State.
For that bicycle reports from Kebbi State, from our team of correspondents. Let's get to Ebonyi State now, from where we have this report of alleged vote buying in Hazumini and Azugu polling units. Fortunate Uzo is telling us more about that.
The supplementary election in Ebonyi State is going on in 74 polling units for 5 state constituencies and 1 federal constituency. And I am here at the Azumini Azugu Ward 6 polling units 0, 10 and 11. There has been allegations of some skirmishes and vote buying. I have an INEC official from Abuja here who is going to speak to us on what has been happening here. Can we know your name?
Yeah, my name is from Abuja headquarters, from the Directorate of Planning and Monitoring, Chief Admin Officer. Yeah, so far so good. Here this morning, the election materials arrived on time as early as 6:30 a.m. We are on ground. Our poll was set up as early as 7 a.m. where the appropriate time to commence the election is 8:30, so we have to start waiting for the voters to come. At that point, about 9 o'clock, they started coming. Actually, they came in group, and there was this accusation of vote buying from the different political parties. Well, I came in to find out what was it, and I realized that well, it could be true, but I wasn't there. However, as an experienced officer, I had to make sure that I control the situation.
There is heavy security presence here, as well as turnout of voters in their numbers to cast their ballots. So far, the security and INEC officials are on top of the situation to calm the aggrieved parties down to ensure that there is a peaceful election eventually. I am fortunate also here at Azumini Azugu Ward 6, polling units 00, 10 and 11, one of the places where the supplementary election is going on in Abakaliki local government area of Ebonyi State. The election has been moving smoothly, although not without some rancor among party agents and members, and allegations of vote buying by different political parties. There is heavy security presence here, as well as turnout of voters in their numbers to cast their ballots. So far, the security and INEC officials are on top of the situation to calm the aggrieved parties down to ensure that there is a peaceful election eventually.
All right, Fortunate Uzo from Ebonyi State are reporting about from Azumini and Azugu polling units. And Mr. James Ugochukwu, I understand you're about to leave us for other engagements. What will be your parting words on the program so far? What do you like to see of this process?
I think the thing you cannot remove from this process is that Nigerians are still interested in democracy.
Right.
Despite all the setbacks and all the trauma of the past presidential and governorship election, people are still trooping out to determine who leads them. And of course, if you look at it critically, this is even the most important election than the presidential election. And this is my reason. These are the people that are closer to the people at the grassroots. The state representative at the state houses of assembly, and of course the National Assembly that are representing their various constituencies. So this kind of election is something that citizens should take more seriously than the presidential election and all those ones, because no matter who becomes the president, a person will not come and fix the road in your constituency. He's going to give that constituency project fund to the person representing you. And if you don't choose wisely who represents you at the National Assembly, you still continue to have that bad road and that bad output of democracy and all that. So their exercise has been very commendable so far, notwithstanding that we have a very low turnout from Rivers State. Of course, from all the reports we've had, I think it's only Rivers State that is having that issues of very low turnout. The turnout in the north, in Kebbi, in Jigawa, and what do you call it, Adamawa is seriously impressive, and it's something that we should be expecting from other places. That of Ebonyi too is very okay, and this is where the only challenge of that Ebonyi now is that of vote buying. And of course we had the issue of vote buying too in that of Kebbi State, and that is where the issue of audit comes into place. Section 120 of the Electoral has made it clear of what constitutes the dereliction of duty by the polling officials, and this is something that we should not allow to be going unchallenged and unquestioned on a regular basis. So we believe that as they proceed to counting in some couple of hours, we are not going to have issues, because it's during the collation process and the announcement of result that the devil centers our electoral process. So we are calling on the security to beef up their vigilance as we are about to head into the collation process, so that it will be hitch-free, so that we will not be hearing stories of ballot box snatching again, or breaking of ballot boxes, or tearing of ballot boxes, or beating up of people. If that repeats, that means the security really need to answer to Nigeria what their role has been in this particular election. So we are hoping that the whole exercise will proceed smoothly to the end. And of course, we have early announcement of this result, so that it will not drag into days. This is just some few elections that the INEC should be able to handle the result process and the announcement.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ugochukwu. You're not going to be the only one to leave. We're going to have a change of government very soon in the studio. I will leave the stage with my guests, but before they go, let me take the closing remark of Arms Free, and I would like you to particularly talk about this allegation of vote buying in Ebonyi State, particularly Azumini and Azugu polling units, where Fortunate reported from.
Yes, I think condemnable. It's a situation we've seen all through the electoral process, right from presidential to the governorship, vote buying, and you know that the whole Naira redesign thing was actually, partly meant to limit the level of cash, but people still circumvented the intentions of that policy. The politicians again, they used all forms of strategies to circumvent that process, continue to buy votes. You had various, dimensions of vote buying, and we are seeing that playing out again today. So in the Ebonyi situation we just raised, the INEC official there talked about vote buying, but we didn't get to see what were the next steps that were taken, because the last time we checked, vote buying is an infraction on the electoral laws of Nigeria. So what I expected her to be telling us, particularly when she says she's an experienced officer, is how she reported the case to the security people in the polling unit and how the people involved in the vote buying were apprehended. That's the kind of outcome we should be seeing. But from what we heard, it's like, they just let it pass and then the vote buyers will be emboldened. That is not what we want our democracy to be like. We don't want our electoral process to be commodified, to be turned into, the sacredness of the vote should not be turned into a commodity that somebody can just come from nowhere and just purchase it and devalue our democracy in the process. So that is something we have to restate. The other very important point, which I was itching to make...
Okay, in 20 seconds.
Yes, in 20 seconds, is the question around the president-elect. What is he supposed to be doing now, in our electoral process and even the democratic process? We can go back to, President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua of blessed memory, who came out to say there were flaws in the elections that brought me into government. That statement alone doused tension. We expect the president-elect to be making similar statements, to reach out to voters and Nigerians who are aggrieved that the process threw up many flaws that undermined the supremacy of their voice. So he should be reaching out in a major statement to those people and promise them that as he's coming on board, he would push to reform the electoral process. So these are key, because if you don't do that, you give the impression that, okay, it's going to be business as usual, and people will continue to be aggrieved, and they would not support you when it's time for you to govern.
And we hope it's not going to be business as usual. And Musbau, you quickly want to say a few things in 30 seconds regarding this process so far. What do you like to see at the end of the day?
Yeah, so for me, I would say we have Nigeria before any other thing.
Yeah.
All of us love Nigeria. And if it's Nigeria we're clamoring to make better, then we should all make it a better thing. Let's always run a race. But in running the race, let's not forget that some of us will win and some of us will lose. And if we win, we are going to make it better. If we lose, we're going to support the people that won to make it better. So it's Nigeria in question. So everything we're doing, let's just put that fact that it's Nigeria that is at the forefront and it's Nigeria that will make better. But we need transformation. We cannot be doing something the same way and expect a different result. We need to change some things and then make this thing. I may jokingly say it that we need to be involving event planners to handle election logistics, but I think it's something we should look into.
All right.
And get to.
Okay, thank you very much. And not a Ponzi scheme this time around. Mukhtar Modibo, head of data collection, who's election observer mission 2023. We appreciate your time and perspective so far. And of course, Ansfree Ajenako, who has been armed with a lot of information, giving us freely media and election experts from the Center for Democracy and Development. We appreciate you. And of course, Mr. James Ugochukwu, co-convener, Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room, and Executive Director, African Center for Entrepreneurship and Information Development. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Right, it's been Verdict 2023, looking at the supplementary elections going on in deciding to governorship elections and 5 senatorial seats, 31 federal constituencies and 59 state constituencies. So we'll continue in this order to give you very, very best of information to keep you up to date. Now we join Kayode Oladosu to give us some update. But by the time we return into the Abuja studio, you'll meet Fisayo Ogunfuye who will continue with the program Verdict 2023, Supplementary Verdict 2023, you want to say.
We have 2 units in Oluyole local government that the supplementary election is going on. Here at Unit 1,
Ward 7 in Olunde, one of the units. I have with me the resident electoral commissioner who has been going on around to monitor the exercise, Dr. Ramon Taylor. Sir, how was the process so far?
It has been very seamless, and as you can see, the election has been conducted under a very good atmosphere with the counsel of the security agencies. The electorate, the media, could have a balancing reporting of electoral activities. It is about 50 days ago that we conducted the presidential and national assembly elections that brought about the supplementary election that we're having today in 2 local governments, namely Oluyole local government, Ibadan North-East and Ibadan South-East respectively. And the essence of having this election is as a result of the margin of lead principle that we embark upon in the commission. And the margin of leading between the 2 leading candidates that remain relatively lower than the total number of PVC collected now happens to be the major determinant factor that we are now even embarking on this. And this is in line with the regulation and guidelines of the conduct of the election, and in accordance with Electoral Act 2022, Section 26 and 53 respectively, that we have to go back to the pool when we have the margin of lead, and again overvoting when there is a supplementary election in that local government.
Sir, so far, how was the turnout compared to the last one in February 18?
You could agree with me that people turn out in mass and they want a formidable candidate that will be adequately representing their interests at the National Assembly. That is the essence, and that is the major factor responsible for their turning out this morning.
And then yesterday you told us concerning the issue of beavers that it was as a result of malfunctioning, one of those reasons for this supplementary election. Can you give us the details so far with where you've been to concerning how beavers is working?
We have not experienced any glitch with the beavers, and we have been given the pains to assess the beavers yesterday, which have been only properly configured. And as you can see, you can even attest to it that it's functioning well.
In your last part to the electorate as they are on queue to exercise their franchise?
Definitely. We have only 1 beavers here, and we have about 1,071 voters for the voters register. So, which implies that we cannot just use the voter register to split into 2 to accommodate to 2 beavers, because the things have been fully configured. So they just need to exercise a bit patience. It's a function of time. They're all going to have their vote cast.
Thank you, Dr. Ramon Taylor, the resident electoral commissioner in Oyo State. As the event hold on, we continue to update you. But one of the electorate that has just performed his civic responsibility is here with me to tell us what he passed through and how the process is. What's your name, sir?
My name is Seyo Ishidi.
Sir, what is the process? How was it like when you cast your ballot?
It's very, very quite all right. Quite all right. No problem. Everything is clear, and all the atmosphere is so clear. So security and everything in place. So the election today is very clear and clean.
Okay, thank you very much. That's it from here, Musbau. I will continue to update you as the event holds from Oluyole Federal Constituency, one of the areas where the supplementary election is holding in Oyo State.
We'll do that. I would.
The elections in Niger State witnessed unprecedented turnouts of voters across the affected 11 registration areas and 15 polling units in 4 local government areas of the state. The 15 affected wards and 11 registration areas spread across Agge, Agwara, Rejao and Rafi local government areas of the state. Voters who turned out en masse conducted themselves in a peaceful manner, with security operatives maintaining law and order. Both election materials and INEC officials arrived to polling units at the stipulated time. Fatima Aliyu, NTA News.
Thank you very much, Fatima Ali. Welcome back to the Verdict 2023 Supplementary Election Studio. My name is Fisayo Gunfuyi. By no means presenting the supplementary package. This is the second leg, actually, of this election coverage. Many thanks to my colleague Musbau Wahab and his guests, Armsfree Janaku, Mukhtar Modibo, James Gochuku, who are here to provide some illumination as far as the election process is concerned. I'm being joined by two men eminently qualified to help us, understand the processes and perhaps capture a general sense of Nigerians as far as these supplementary elections are concerned. And we're being joined here by Dr. Adoyi Matthew Mali, a friend of House HOD, International Relations and Diplomacy based University. Thank you for coming, Doctor.
Good afternoon, Fisher.
And Abomisu, of course, is our man, is a public affairs analyst and been watching this process so thoroughly, and he's joining us again today to fortify us and our thoughts with his comments and interventions. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
There was this, slogan, I think it was for MK Abiola in 1993 or 92, on the march again.
Yes.
And it seems as if that is where we are at the moment. But what we've seen as events have, been unfolding in different parts of the country, reporters there to cover the movements. In many places, we've seen a lot of voters turning out. In some, not so much. That's a contrast. What will be your first intervention, Abomisu, in terms of this exercise? Do you think, at least with what we have seen so far, that everybody is on top of their game in terms of all the stakeholders managing this process?
Yeah, and kudos to INEC and to Nigerians too. Because previously, once you did not cast your ballot on the announced date that elections are taking place, that ends it. You have to wait for 4 years